Most gyms do not have a marketing problem. They have a thinking problem. And their thinking around marketing is where they start to fall flat. You may run ads, you may do posts on local social media channels or do organic content. You might even do print marketing. But for the most part, what I've seen is a lot of gyms and trainers throw marketing like it's like darts at a dartboard and they just hope that something sticks. So in today's episode, I want to teach you how to take a very strategic lens to any marketing campaign and stuff that we are doing in all of our locations to run crazy effective marketing campaigns, and how you can take the same strategies and do the same for yourself. So if you are ready to get more out of your marketing and generate more leads and convert them at a higher rate, this episode is for you. So before we go anywhere when it comes to marketing, the one thing most people skip is they start just doing stuff, right? They start like, all right, we need to get more leads. And they start firing off messages and shooting emails out and calling people, and they just start doing stuff. And the problem is that activity does not equal progress. And the first thing you have to do is, and again, this is a constant reminder for myself and for my team, even at the highest level, is this. Start with the end in mind. You've got to slow down and think, what do we actually want to get from this campaign, thought process, or whatever we're doing, all right? So instead of just like, all right, we need more leads, let's fire off more messages, start with, we need more leads. How many leads do we need? How many leads do we need to convert? How much do they need to pay us? What is this actually going to do for the business? Because what you find is when you don't start with the end in mind, a lot of times you start solving the wrong problem, because you might think you have a marketing problem and you start just trying to get more leads, but you really have a conversion problem. So the first thing you want to do, or you have a pricing problem, and maybe you're not charging enough and that's why you're not making enough money. So there's a lot of things that all get solved when you slow down, zoom out, and start with the end in mind. So if you take one thing from this episode, is before doing anything, slow yourself down and start to think like, what are we doing? What are we actually trying to get from this? And what other mechanisms can we use to get there? All right. So with that, let's start talking about how to build a marketing campaign from start to finish. So I'm going to give you a very specific example. So we are going to run a Ripped Dads Challenge coming up on Father's Day. Let's target men. It's very topical. So that's the first thing, is we're going to run a dad's fat loss challenge. Okay. So instead of just like putting stuff out there, we start with the goal, right? So our goal is we want to get 20 dads that are paying $400 for a 4-week transformation challenge. That's the goal, right? And you can obviously steal this if you feel like you need to. But we're going to run this dad's challenge, $400. The goal is 20 dads in one location. And then we want to start looking at what are the buckets of opportunity that exist in our sphere, okay? What already exists? So there's a million options of these. It's going to be specific to your business as well. But here's the ones that come to mind for me that we use. So the first one is our current member list, okay? So we have 400 plus current members in my one location that if they are men, maybe they have friends that are dads, okay? So this is I'll keep this externally, not internal challenge, which you can do as well. If they're men, they probably have other dads that would want to do it. Now, I could ask, and my marketing could be, hey, if you bring a friend, you can do this for free. So that's an incentive for them to refer a friend. So that's my one bucket. The next one is wives or women. A lot of wives are wives because they have husbands, and they are usually a lot of times dads. So are there women at my gym whose husbands are dads that don't currently go to the gym? So that kind of falls into the current membership bucket of client that you want to start with. It's like, I have current members. How can I ask all of my current members to promote or get this in front of them? So there's one-to-one, which is I could call everybody and specifically ask them, or one-to-many, which is I could fire a mass email out or a mass text message, okay? So then I have another bucket. So that's a simple one. They are right in front of you. They're already buying from you. That's just a low hanging fruit there. The next bucket might be current or former members. So these are people that have paid you in the past that you know are typically price qualified. So again, same type of demographic. We have people that are wives that I'm like, hey, remember you trained here? You think your husband wants to come in, try this challenge out? You want him to lose weight and like be healthier for your family, or so that you can look at him and get more gratification out of that, or former dads. So for us, this challenge, we're calling it the Ripped Dads Challenge. We've done it like 10 times in the past. So I have former winners, and we're not doing a cash prize this time, but in the past we did. We've got like former winners that were like, hey, Chuck, remember that time you won the Ripped Dads Challenge with us? Do you want to do that again? It's this much, like you can get the same result, you know? So that's a very qualified bucket of individual that we would want to invite to our challenge. All right. So that's the former, terminated client. Another bucket are, and I'm going to combine two buckets here because for the sake of time, is just unconverted leads or trials. So leads that have come in the past that never bought or never joined the gym, right? So they don't fall into the former client bucket, but they've expressed interest. They've raised a hand, said that they've got a problem, and I want to send messages to them. All right. So what medium can I reach out to those people? It's probably one to many. So that's going to be a mass email series or text message blast, or there's some functionality called a voicemail drop, which we see to be pretty effective. But that's people that have never converted. So it's a little bit of a colder audience. And then a little bit warmer segment of that is the unconverted trials. So maybe they came in for a workout, or maybe they did a short-term thing and they never signed up. That's a segment that is also very relevant there. Okay. Now, some people may be savvy enough to segment your whole email list based on male and female names. I don't do that. But you could do that and just market that to the men on your list, or you could just put it out there and make a note like, hey, if you're a wife and you want your husband to do this, share it with them too. All right. So that's the cold bucket. All right. Now, what other buckets exist here? Now we've got the bucket of our current social media audience. All right. So now we're getting out of like our in-person and email list. And now we're going to just our social media profiles. So my business, we really just use Instagram and Facebook. So what can we blast out to Instagram and Facebook? So we would want to create a suite of content that we could share out over a timeline. So maybe it's 10 different posts and videos and testimonials that we can share out to promote that. So that's the next bucket, is like the social media channels that exist. All right. Now, what else do we have? The last channel that we'll talk about, I think, unless I think of something else in a minute, is our local joint ventures and community relationships. Okay. So again, Ripped Dads Challenge. What organizations work with dads that we are close with? We've got a lot of great organizations. So there's like local bars and restaurants. There's local law offices. There are sports organizations where dads are coaches, or dads are just working there, or dads are dads of kids in the program. These are all places that, maybe it's a sponsored post where you could become a sponsor and they would share it because you've paid money to the organization in exchange for that, or they would just do a solid. So what organizations can you pull a solid from that would blast a promotion like this to their list that dads are going to be watching? Another really big one that we're using this time is there's a local hormone optimization clinic, aka TRT clinic, that we're going to be asking to send a promotion out to. All right. So they do a lot with like GLP-1 drugs, TRT, and things like that. So it's called Ageless Men's Health. We're going to ask them to blast to their list, which is presumably men, and hopefully be very effective for us. But that's a very specific segment of a bucket of an audience that you could find. Hey guys, just real quick pause. If you're enjoying this, please hit subscribe, like, comment, share this with any fitness professionals that you feel like would benefit from content like this. Let's get back to the episode. So now that you've got your buckets of people, okay, we have to understand the like realities of message to conversion, okay, or exposure to conversion. So every bucket is going to have a very different like conversion rate mechanism. I am very data driven. I don't have the numbers in front of me. We're just talking conceptually here, but I'm going to explain my thought process here. Because again, just putting stuff out there doesn't guarantee anything. But there is probably a very good idea of like how much activity is going to produce how many leads or how much of a result. So you could probably take a guess. How many people do you have to have a one-to-one conversation with to get a single referral, right? It wouldn't take you long to figure that number out. You could even do a social experiment or just a experiment in your gym where if you go up to 50 people in your gym and ask for them to generate a referral, and after a week, how many referrals you got, that is officially your referral ask conversion rate, okay? So when it comes to that first bucket, which is your current membership list, when you understand your referral conversion rate, now you know how much activity, and you would say, all right, if I need 20 people, I want to get 5 of them from referrals, okay? So I'm going to say, if I need 5 from referrals and I get 1 referral per every ask, then I need to ask 50 people for referrals, all right? So that's how you're going to reverse engineer your marketing activity to get the result that you want. And the most important thing here, and I can't emphasize this enough, we're going to talk a lot of these numbers. I'm just going to throw numbers out there, but you have your own numbers, whether you know them or not. You have your own numbers because you are doing marketing activities and it is producing a result. Do not make the mistake of saying, oh, the typical email conversion rate is 10%, because that's not your numbers. You have numbers. So you've got to face the brutal facts of your data, as bad and hard as it may be, to be like, oh shit, my ads are only converting 1% of my audience. That's just reality. And until that gets fixed, that's how you have to build your activity level. All right, let's get back to the marketing messaging. So once you've established like how many referral asks need to happen for you to generate a single referral, that dictates how much activity that you have to take place in order to produce that result. All right. Next is same idea, but let's do the bucket of like former members. And you can either do one-to-one where you reach out to everybody individually, invite them back, or you can do email marketing. Email marketing, you've got to understand what your email open rate is. So what percentage of your emails are getting opened from that audience, and what is the click-through rate or your conversion rate, depending if you're just handling replies or if they're going to a landing page. So again, a great open rate would be like 30% to an email list. Great for like a regular email list. A great click-through rate might be like 4% or 3 to 5%. So you have to know that if you've got 1,000 people you're emailing to and you're hoping for a 3% click-through rate, right? 3% of 1,000 is 30 people. So that's people that are going to say, yeah, tell me more. All right. So that's even probably high. So you've got to understand that so you can dictate and set expectations based on your numbers. And if you have a CRM system, these numbers probably exist. So you just go in and say, like, out of the last email campaign that I sent, how many people responded? It might just be 1, and that's fine. It just is what it is. But so let's say that, you send an email to 1,000 people, you get 5 people that raise their hand and say they're interested. Then you need to know what your conversion rate is on that. Let's say you get 2 of them to sign up. Now you're up to 7 people. That's great. So that's the next bucket in your approach there. And then let's go to social media. So let's talk 2 forms of social media. We have paid and organic. So let's talk organic first. Organic's got a very low conversion rate. I mean, you got to be pretty talented. I'm here at Westchester Studios. I work with my guy, Matt Simmons. He does social media takeovers for me, and they are more effective than when we do it ourselves. Far and away. So you've also got to understand, like, organic's going to take some elbow grease and some talent to like make compelling content that's going to stand out in a crowded audience. But you've got to understand, like, if I make one post that is seen by 5,000 people. Maybe I get one or two people that go to click on the link to reach out for more. And that's just reality. But you need a strategy around it. So for me, what we would do is everybody that likes, comments, or engages or follows our page from those promotions is going to get a follow back and a message saying, hey, saw you commented on this. Like, are you interested in learning more? Okay. So that's part of our marketing strategy for organic. So I'm going to build, if I have a 10-day marketing period that I'm going to promote this program, I'm going to, maybe make 20 posts, a mix of like client testimonials, infotainment, where it's just like a talking head about the program, or just written testimonials or video testimonials or whatever, or results or whatever, before and afters. And I'm going to have somebody like living on the channels so that if there's replies, if there's follow backs, if people are sharing it, I'm going to be engaging with that audience. All right. And I'm going to be driving them to take the next action. Okay. So that's the organic side. Now let's talk the paid digital ad side. So for us, Facebook or Meta ads, Facebook and Instagram, and then there's Google ads. Okay. So Meta ads are where we put a little bit more money into. We get a lot more lead flow. Now, granted, the leads are not nearly as qualified as obviously people that are going to your website or something like that. Now I need to think about, what money am I putting behind this campaign? Everything we talked about is free, right? Emails, one-to-one reach outs, conversations you can have with clients in the gym, all that is free. Now I need to be thinking, how much money am I willing to spend on this promotion? And understand what my lead conversion rate is from paid ads, and understand how much money it makes sense to spend. All right. There's rates like return on ad spend and the CAC, cost per acquired client. But let's keep it simple. If I want 20 people to do this challenge for $400, I am potentially going to make $8,000 on the front end. And then there's obviously lifetime value and stuff, but I'm potentially going to make $8,000. I'm like willing to spend a good chunk of that on the marketing on the front end, because if I get $8,000 up front, I'm more than likely going to get half of those people to convert for long term, and that's going to be another $3,000 lifetime each. So I'm just going to throw numbers out there. I might earmark $2,000 to digital ad spend over like a 2-week promo period. And when I do that, I'm going to create new ad content. So usually I'm going to do like a talking head video, or maybe some like really eye-catching info things that's like a testimonial, or something that says like Ripped Ads Challenge starting soon and rolling now. I'm looking for 5 men that want to lose 50 pounds, whatever. I'm going to make like a suite of content just for paid ads. That's going to be like super eye-catching, scroll stopping, which is really important. And that's what I'm going to do on the digital ad side. And what's important is 2 things. If you're using an ad agency, make sure that they're good. Like we use Kiss Marketing, and we're really happy with them. Make sure they're good. Make sure they're adjusting your ads. Make sure they're keeping an eye on conversion rates. Make sure all the integrations are working. But if you're doing it yourself, make sure that you are being agile, right? Start with like 20 ads. Start with different, like image with different body copy, video with body copy. Split test those, and then whichever one wins, shift all of your spend to that. Like, be strategic about how you're spending your money and allocating your funds to the ads that are working the best. Okay. And then again, you've got to understand, if I want to convert 10 leads to sign up for this challenge, how many leads do you need to generate from paid Meta ads or Google ads or whatever to lead to that? You have that number. That number exists. If you're running ads, that number exists in your business. If you don't know it, it's fine, but it exists. So don't just say like, we should convert 25% or 30% because that's the industry average. Fuck the industry average. You have a number that exists in your business. And as hard as it is, like, we review this number and sometimes we want to like kick ourselves because it's like super low, but that's reality. So your effort, your activity has to be adjusted based on your reality. So for example, if you get 50 leads and you only get 5 clients, you have a 10% lead to conversion rate. That's your reality. So if you need 10 people to sign up for the challenge, you need to generate 100 leads, period. That's the way it works. Okay. So your ad copy or your ad content needs to be good enough to get 100 people to raise their hand and say they're interested. That means you need to spend X amount of money to generate that. All right. So then there's the whole cost per lead stuff that comes into there too. But that is how you're building a strategy based on that. Cost per lead wise, there's a huge scope of ranges there. Our personal goal is like the $20 to $25 range for meta ads. So again, if we're running ads that are like getting $50 leads, it's usually just bad copy. It's just the image, the video isn't good enough, the copy isn't compelling enough, and we need to change it, period. It's usually nothing different than that, all right? So that's how you're going to capitalize on that social media bucket on the paid side. So you're being strategic about it. How many leads do we need to generate? What's our conversion rate? How much do we need to spend due to our cost per lead to generate those leads? All right. So the last piece here is that joint venture conversion rate. Okay. This one's tough. It's a little bit further outside of your control, but again, with time and measurement and tracking, you should be able to get an idea of how many conversations with my local partners do I need to have to generate one sign up. So you're going to go through these. You're going to ask these people to send out emails for you. You're going to see who's reliable and who's not. And that's generally how you're going to generate that like joint venture to sign up list. But this one, because it's so far outside of your control, because you don't know who their list is, sometimes you don't have control over the messaging they send out, which, side note, you should always write the emails that they send out or the posts that they share for you, if you can. But I would just set a personal goal of how many organizations that you want to get to promote your shit. So how many businesses do you want to send to their people? So for a program like this, I would want like 10 businesses to give me a green light to be like, yeah, we'll share your stuff. Okay. So that's what I would do from a joint venture standpoint. The last bucket, the last thing that we'll touch on here is your actual website conversion. And when I say website, you can be your standalone homepage website or a specific landing page. So a landing page is going to be like a segment of a website that's dedicated to just one thing. So I would maybe have like rippeddads.com or rippeddads. Don't steal that if you haven't. I probably own it. rippeddads.gagestrengthtraining.com. And I would want to look at, shocker, the conversion rate of my site. And I would want to build my strategy backwards from there. And I'll tell you, we just did this with amazing results. We were running a speed camp program, and I was like, hey, what's the web conversion rate to my speed camp website to click-through rate? And my marketing girl was like, oh man, it's 5%. Like, awesome. So we need 10 more people. That means I need, I don't know what 10% of 5% is, but I was like, we need 500 visits to the website this week. And she's like, okay. So I'm like, so that probably means we need to get this shit in front of 5,000 people. If we want 500 people to go to the website to convert 5% of people, which is 10 signups, I think. But that's how you work backwards from the website. So understand, out of how many people go to your website, submit their information, and become a client, that dictates your efforts. So I just threw a lot of information at you. This is how to think like a master marketer. You start with the end in mind. You zoom out, you start to look at what buckets and what audience buckets currently exist, and what's the medium of reach of contact that we need to make with them. And then what assets need to be created. So what content needs to be created, what emails need to get sent, what language am I going to use when I do the one-to-one reach out? What am I going to say when I call these people? What am I going to post on social media? I'm going to create a suite of that content on the organic side, on the paid digital side. Then you're going to write the emails. You're going to create your list of joint ventures that you're going to contact and plead with them to share your stuff. All right. Then you're going to run the numbers and you're going to say, all right, based on my current reality, these are my current reality conversion rates. This is how many people need to see my stuff in order to go to the thing, to take the action, to eventually sign up. That is how you structure a marketing campaign end to end. And here's the last important point that I want to make. There is one formula that rules all in business. And that formula is results equal activity times your skills. All of this is the result of the amount of activity you put out times the skills that you have. The more skill you have, the better copywriter you are, the better video editor you are, the better speaker on video you are, the better relationships, the more skill of relationships that you've developed, the less activity you're going to have to put out. But if you don't have the greatest skill, there is no avoiding the fact that you must just pour on activity. And the results are black and white. They sign up or they don't. And if they're not, it's either because you're not good enough or you're not doing enough activity. And that's not a knock. That's not a negative thing. It's just reality. And the faster you can face that, the better you're going to be. And the best part is the more activity. I think Hormozy says volume negates skill. This is volume creates skill, right? The more activity, if you can just be unashamed about pouring gasoline and just doing more and more and more and not being deterred by getting kicked in the nuts and failing and falling flat on your face with people telling you no and unanswered emails, the better skill you're going to develop. All right. So end to end, that is how you're going to structure a marketing campaign that just like rings the register for your business and develops the skills of a master marketer. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this content, make sure that you like and subscribe to get more of the content that you want to see about growing your fitness business. You can click any of the videos here to see other episodes, but I want to hear from you. So drop some comments into other content that you would like to see.